Good morning, all. Please introduce yourselves, tell us where you are speaking from, and give us about 1 minute of what your company does. And also let us know what a good lead is for you. I'll call your name the way I see you on my screen. So starting, Adele Bush, please.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Adele Bush. My business is ASB Business Services, LLC. We're headquartered in Columbus, Ohio, but because of the nature of what we do, we can work anywhere in the United States. My business specializes in personalized, customized, and exclusive executive telephone outreach. We also do business research and prospect development. Our calls focus on business development. We are not, and I repeat, we are not a telemarketing company. Our calls are very unique, they're very professional, and we get the results that our clients look for. A good referral for me this week would be a company that has accounts receivable. And maybe they need a few friendly reminder calls that money is owed, and we can dig through and get to the bottom of the reason why the payment was not made, and there's a wide range of reasons, and that's what these calls are all about. They're courtesy calls, and we can certainly help expedite payments through our phone calls. My name is Adele Bush. My business is ASB Business Services, LLC. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Adele. Mr. Gerald Callen, please.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Go Indiana. I don't know what to say. I'm a lawyer. Good referral for me would be a serious injury or wrongful death case to get justice for the injured. I do high net worth estate planning, and I'm still trying to learn how. I'm in Indianapolis, near Indianapolis, and I couldn't be happier.
Thank you, fellow IU grad. We'll take every win. My name is Keith Rand. I'm with First Quality Printing. I'm a semi-retired gopher. I just do whatever I'm told by my wife, quite frankly. So with that, Keith Rand, First Quality Printing, Indianapolis, Indiana. Nick Sullivan, please.
Well, hello, everyone. Nick Sullivan, Business Solutions here in Raleigh. I'm not sure if Zoom picks it up, but people that see me locally asked me if I was in a fight. I went to my dermatologist the other day, so if it picks up on Zoom, I got blotches all over my face. They did a number of things on my, so I'm getting through that. But anyway, I help businesses capture specialized tax incentives and expense reductions. Usually they're very thankful because most owners aren't aware of these types of benefits that are available to them if they own buildings or they hire employees. Terms like cost segregation or employee retention credits, workers' opportunity tax credits. Takes about 15 minutes to explore, see if they might be eligible. Then we partner with a team of experts to go out and capture these incentives for businesses, and could be thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars for small and larger businesses. Keep that in mind. A good referral this week are companies to hire employees. They could all benefit. Again, it's Nick Sullivan, Sullivan Business Solutions.
Thank you. Jerry Luco, please.
Good morning. Jerry Luco with Franchise Business Source. So I actually help both aspiring franchisees / entrepreneurs and serial entrepreneurs find a perfect fit franchise business that gets them money, freedom, lifestyles, supplemental income, everything they've been dreaming of. Franchises come with a support system, an instant tribe of people that are there to help you be successful, and an operational playbook that shows the path to success of others before you. So if you don't feel like coming up with the next big idea, you should really consider looking at a franchise. I'm based in Columbus, Ohio, but I work across the US, and frankly, I can actually do international as well. So I've had conversations with people that want to bring burger places to Pakistan or Saudi Arabia and the UK. And if you have someone who is thinking about trying to expand their portfolio, have them get in touch with me. A good lead for me this week would be commercial realtors, commercial realtor brokers, or career transition coaches. Both of those are great referral sources.
Thank you, Jared. Rhoda, please.
Good morning, all, from right here in Indianapolis, Indiana. And Jesse and I are networking colleagues from way, way back. So a couple decades, maybe. I don't know. He's too young for a couple decades, but a long time. My team and I, for the last 14 years, have been writing what you've been reading when you go on our clients' websites. And this week, I am particularly interested in meeting potential blogging clients who are in a service business, office cleaning, tree removal, plumbing and heating, anything that is a service business, particularly now that it's so hard to recruit workers. And so they need to get their message out there, and we can help them do that. So we say it for you.
Thank you. David Garrison, please.
Morning, I'm Dave Garrison, Mutual Omaha Mortgage. I'm a reverse mortgage loan educator and originator down in Panama City Beach this week. I help seniors and their families utilize their housing wealth to solve a problem or create an opportunity in their retirement income planning conversations. A good lead for me would be a real estate agent, a wealth advisor, an attorney who is looking for an opportunity to help create some strategic planning opportunities for their clients by the use of housing wealth.
Thank you, David. All right. Thank all you guys for showing up today. Our speaker this morning is Mr. Jesse Jett. Jesse, you now have control, and you should be able to screen share if you need it.
Awesome. Thanks, Keith. Thanks, Rhoda, for the invite and introduction to the group. And I do believe it has been 2 decades that we've been out networking together in the Indianapolis area. The company that I work for is a company by the name of Insperity. We're based out of Houston, Texas, but we have 83 offices, and I'm located here in Indianapolis. We do have offices in Florida. We have offices in Columbus, Ohio. I believe Raleigh was another city that was mentioned, but those are all areas where we have been for many years. And what we do is help businesses manage all of the expenses related to your employees. So payroll, benefits, workers' comp, HR compliance, and those sort of things. It's an industry called PEO. Which stands for Professional Employer Organization. Basically, what that means is that my clients pay their employees through Insperity's FEIN number, and by doing so, they get to take advantages of our economies of scale. A good introduction for me would be any business owner who is either growing, has taken on a larger increase on medical than what they're used to or what they are comfortable with, or someone who is dealing with growth companies. Generally, when they hit a certain size, and that's different for every business owner, start dealing with compliance issues and start dealing with HR issues that are outside of their realm of control. Business owners do not get into business to deal with the minutia of employees and dealing with those sort of things. And so Insperity actually started this industry 35 years ago. And I think one of the coolest things about Insperity is that the CEO of our company is still the CEO today. He started the company at $250,000 per year worth of revenue. Last year, we did $4.3 billion. And to think about all of those stages that he's gone through and grown the company and still be at the top and not been replaced, I think that's really neat. And then in 2020, Paul Sarvati is his name. Paul Sarvati was actually awarded most sought after CEO to work for in all of Houston, Texas. So he wrote a book in 2019 called Taking Care of Your People. He lives it, breathes it. It's part of his mission, and he extends it to all of our client companies as well. And that was really kind of the brainchild of what created Insperity. The one thing that I will say, and the one thing that I think is unique to Insperity is our medical package. So there are roughly 1,000 PEOs in the United States. Every single one of those act as a broker for medical benefits, except for Insperity. We're the only ones where we take that risk internally and we extend the healthcare benefits that we are on, the same benefit package that I'm on, we extend to our clients. And so it's a very unique model. And the way that we do that, and ultimately, I think it's really our secret sauce in that Insperity sits on the same side of the table. When we bargain with United Healthcare every single year and get our renewal, we're on the same side of the table. If we take an increase, we take an increase for Insperity and our client company. So it makes us much more vested in keeping those benefits the same. And it's one of the reasons why in the last 9 years, when healthcare has been crazy, in the last 9 years, we have not made any dilution of plans. So a typical small business owner sees their renewal time comes and they may get a 10% increase if they take a reduction in benefits, or a 14% if they want to keep the benefits the same. In 9 years since the implementation of Obamacare, Affordable Care Act, that was the last time we made any changes so that we could become compliant with ACA. And so you're talking 9 years without any dilution of plans whatsoever. And we are the only carrier that United Healthcare enters into a multi-year agreement with. The next time United Healthcare has an opportunity to change our plans will be after 2025. So if someone were to sign up today with Insperity, they're looking at the plan staying the same at least until 2026. So it's a very unique model. Again, I'm looking for business owners of any size. My smallest client is 3. Insperity's largest client, not my client, but our largest client is 3,200. And I like to talk about that client simply because it speaks to the volume and the complexity of what we do. That particular client is actually out of our Kansas City office. It is a control group with 94 different doctor's offices, 3,200 employees in 37 states. And they have the same healthcare benefits across all of those 94 organizations, consistency across the board, 37 state compliance, because again, for the last 22 years, we have been in all 50 states, employees in all 50 states. And so we handle the compliance. But I know I have a lot more time. I like to open up things for question and answer. That is what we do in a nutshell, PEO industry. Anyone who is currently in a PEO and looking for, maybe an alternative, Insperity's a little bit more robust solution. Here locally in Indianapolis, I run across a lot of local PEOs. I know in Raleigh, they don't have as many local. Columbus, not as many local as well. They have some regional players. The nice thing about Insperity is I can write business. This year I wrote business in Texas, Alabama, California, and of course I call on Indiana for the most part. But if I have, I generally will partner. So like Raleigh, I'll partner with someone local there. Columbus, they're actually part of my region. Columbus, Ohio is. Florida, I would partner with a local rep, and then we would co-sell it together. So I have a lot of experience selling in other markets. Last week, I closed one in Waco, Texas. So with that, I'll kind of open it up. If anybody has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer it. Thank you, Adele.
Adele's giving you a big clap. Hey, Jesse, right quick. You mentioned, can you tell me again what the PEO stands for?
Professional Employer Organization. It's a fancy word for co-employment is what it basically involves. So the co-employment, again, is my clients pay their employees through my FEIN. The reason why they do that is they're shifting the liability of benefits administration, workers' comp administration, and HR compliance to Insperity. So for instance, if for any reason, let's just say, for instance, we had an employee, one employee in Seattle, Washington, and that employee decided to sue the company. They decided to sue ABC Company, who was an Insperity customer. In essence, they would be suing Insperity. Insperity would step in behalf of ABC Corporation. And that's a typical scenario for me. You have a business owner here in Indianapolis. They have, a client in Seattle, or maybe they have a sales rep and they want to call on the West Coast and they hire a sales rep in Seattle, and they don't realize that the laws are different in Seattle from a compliance standpoint. And that employee says, oh, I'm now going to sue the company because you did wrong. Well, number one, Insperity's there to help them make sure that initially they don't do it wrong. They are educating our clients on, hey, did you know that you need to have your handbook compliant with X, Y, and Z? Here in Indiana, I run into that a lot with Cook County, Illinois. The laws dealing with FMLA and FSLA specifically are completely different, and handbooks need to be outlined in those compliance measures. If you have one person in Chicago, Illinois, their handbook looks different. Insperity writes that handbook for our clients. And so, they get to maintain compliance. And then if for some reason that person says, hey, you didn't do it right, they're suing Insperity, which is a $4.3 billion company that can step in and shield that company from any of those legal matters.
No
Jesse,
problem.
you can, go ahead, Keith. You probably have another question.
Hey, I got one more question, then I want to open it up. Every small business is always going to ask this question: the fees. What's the fees?
Yeah, so the fees are, if you look at just the administrative fees, you're probably going to choke. But what most companies don't realize, and I always tell companies, A plus B equals C. So when you look at the total cost today is C. When you look at our offsets on medical, so I talked about the fact that we have 83 offices, the fact that we've been around for 35 years. We have 2 million people on one healthcare plan. So when I look at what your medical plan is today versus what you can buy that for through Insperity, and you're looking at workers' comp and the savings that we drive there, medical cost, administrative costs equals C. So yes, we're going to cost a lot when it comes to the administrative side of things, but also take into factor what we offset on workers' comp savings and medical savings. I generally find that that's like 1% more on payroll. So a lot of times I have a company that I recently signed, they were actually less expensive with Insperity than they were through one of our national competitors, simply because of the way that we do business. So I never, ever give an answer, because ultimately it comes down to take a look at it. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Are you in a PEO today? Are you not in a PEO? And what are the driving factors? If you're a growing company, I deal with a lot, my experience is technology. So I deal with a lot of tech companies. My most recent client was an 85-person tech company. They had just split the business into 2 businesses. They're looking to grow it and sell it off. Their driving factor wasn't necessarily cost. They were actually a little bit of an investment, about 0.5% on their payroll. But what they were looking at is every single year they had continued to get that dilution of benefits. And the reason why they're going with us ultimately is because we don't have the ability to dilute their benefits for at least the next 3 years. And they can then grow the company and maybe sell it off for a huge profit. So that's huge in an attraction and retention of talent in the tech environment, which is highly competitive. You have to give really great benefits. So yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's one-off. It's one-off.
Yeah.
It's a negotiation. Yeah. Nick,
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Part of the savings has to be that the company does not have to have a person analyzing and shopping and dealing with the benefits and the complaints.
Yes.
Is that right? Because you become their HR department in a sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I look at the company, so for instance, the company in Waco, Texas was actually a corporate spinoff of another company. The founder was creating a company with 3 employees. And in the next year, he wants to hire 4 employees, 1 sales rep in every time zone. So from a benefits perspective, and then from where he's at today as a corporation, he has an HR department. When he becomes a company of 3, he doesn't have the budget to build an HR department, even a company of 7. So we, in that scenario, become the HR department. My most recent client that I actually signed yesterday, the 85-person technology company, they have an internal stakeholder in HR but her job is getting more and more complex. They have since in the last year, because of COVID, they have gotten employees in 7 different states, and she can't keep up with those 7 different states. And they want to grow the company to like 200 employees. So we are supplementing what she's doing. So we have a very unique model. In certain companies, we are the HR department. In other companies, we're supplementing what those individuals don't want to do. In this particular tech company, she wants to manage training and development, culture building, all of the fun things of HR. She does not want to deal with benefits administration, payroll administration, workers' comp administration, building handbooks for 7 different states. Insperity, you take that on. I'm going to do the fun stuff.
Do you have any franchise businesses?
Yeah, so here locally, one out of Terre Haute actually is Honest Abe Roofing, is a company, and they, as a corporation, made Insperity their HR partner of choice. And so every one of their franchisees automatically sign up for Insperity. And we have a whole division dealing with government contractor. We have a whole division dealing with franchise. We have a whole division dealing with all different sorts of nuances of business. I know of 4 sales reps in our organization outside of the Washington, D.C. area that focus on nothing but government contractor. And I've been on one call with those individuals. They speak a different language. It's crazy.
Do you handle, go ahead.
Nick Sullivan, go ahead, please.
Yes. Do you handle hiring and screening for employees or anything involved with the recruiting?
So we do have a recruiting department. I would say that Insperity takes on whenever our clients hire an individual. So what does it look like to onboard that individual? They get into our portal. So for instance, in a typical scenario, most business owners, small business owners, are printing off all of the tax forms and all of those things, and then they're filling them out on the first day. In an Insperity world, we email that individual, they onboard, and when they walk in on day 1, they're bringing their 2 forms of identification. The owner is taking a photocopy of that. They're uploading it into our system, and that person's starting work 5 minutes later. They're not going through all of those forms.
So you handle onboarding, right?
Yeah, but we do have recruiting services, so we do some recruiting for some of our clients. I would say it's probably less than 5%. Most of our clients come to us for PEO, and that relationship starts once the employee is hired, all the way through COBRA administration. So when you think of the life cycle of an employee, from hiring to firing is the way I put it, but that's not as elegant as most people would want it to say.
And the company was founded as administraff, right?
It is, yeah, absolutely.
Palmer was the spokesperson for them for a number of years, I remember.
Yeah, still, I'm trying to think of who the golf. So yes, we're a Houston-based company. If you, most people, if they've heard of us, have either seen us because we don't advertise all that often. We were being that the Houston Astros were part of the World Series. You might have seen in the outfield on one of the last games, someone hit a home run right over the Insperity sign on the wall. We do run a golf classic every year. It's called the Insperity Invitational. It's based out of Houston, Texas. And then Jim Nance. I was trying to think of who it was. Jim Nance is actually a University of Houston grad that went to school with some of our founders at the University of Houston, and he is a spokesperson. If you call Insperity headquarters, it says, "Hey, thanks for calling Insperity. This is Jim Nance." So we're very golf centric. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else with additional questions? Go ahead, Adele, please.
Jesse, do you do payroll as well?
Yeah, so payroll is built into the equation. Payroll, workers' comp, healthcare benefits, HR compliance are kind of the ways that I describe what we do.
Yeah, I just want to say that it's very refreshing. All of us here, I think this is a group of high-level, well-educated people. Each of us takes pride in our company, but it's so refreshing to hear someone in such a giant company be so proud of his company. Don't you agree? I mean, it's just very, very refreshing.
Yeah, so I've over my 20-year career that Rhoda and I have been networking, I've worked mostly in tech. I've worked for small startups. I actually was part of a PEO in one of the tech startups and didn't even know what a PEO was. I just knew that my paycheck came from a PEO, my benefits came from the PEO. It wasn't until I started in this industry that I was like, wait a second. When I worked for that startup, but I think we've all probably gone through the scenario where on day one you start with a company, and by day 3, 4, 5, 200, your image of that company goes down. I'm almost 6 years in with Insperity, and my image of the company continues to get stronger. COVID actually is one of the areas where I like to talk about. When COVID happened and the impact on small business was tremendous, our phones were ringing off the hook. Our service team members were out servicing customers. The PPP loans, within minutes of that being signed, I think it was 4 hours later, we already had the reports that business owners needed. We had them in our portal, and a business owner could file for a PPP loan and had the forms in the way that the government needed to read them within 4 hours, and said, we had emails going out to all of our clients. Hey, are you applying for a PPP loan? If so, please get into the portal. Please look at PPP loan in the portal. Please print them out, add them to your bank. Here you go. The reason, first time around, business owners, 19% of them were approved for a PPP loan. Insperity customers, it was 72%. And the reason being was that our reports were in the manner in which they needed to be seen. And so when they filed for their PPP loans, it was like, oh, and it got to the point where banks were like, oh, Insperity, check, stamp, move on. So
it's good to hear. It's good to hear. Yeah, too many small businesses, you know, and I was victim of this. You get distracted, or you don't get distracted, and now you got a real issue. You don't pay attention to it because you're trying to run your business. You know,
yeah, it's one of the reasons why I like tech. You know, one of the statistics out there is that a tech company has 7 years to start, grow, and sell off before they're obsolete. And when you think about being distracted, Keith, you don't have time to be distracted. You literally have, you know, when you think about that in days, let's just round up to 400 days. You have 2,800 days to make an impact before you're obsolete. And I always go back to my experience in tech. I spent 14 years selling tech before getting into this industry. The first company I worked for was disaster recovery and high availability software, replication of server to server. That doesn't exist anymore. That industry does not exist anymore. And I started working there roughly about 14 years ago, about 15 years ago. So that whole entire industry is gone. It's all handled in the cloud now. Replication is all cloud-based. It's not software-based anymore. So that's just talks a little bit to, you don't have time to be distracted. You know, you're a business owner. You need to focus on what generates revenue. And I can tell you, dealing with healthcare administration, workers' comp administration, payroll, that those aren't revenue generating opportunities.
They are absolutely not. Absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, so, you know, just this is, I think, a great conversation to have, even for a smaller business, because it makes you understand you need to focus on your business. And, you know, we talk about this all the time. Do what you do well and buy what you don't do well. It's a tough thing for a lot of people to swallow, especially small business owners, but do what you do well. And, you know, whether it's you or a service that's provided by like Nick, who provides another kind of a service, you know, we need to focus on doing what we do well and let that other stuff go. Just write a check for it because you're going to mess it up.
Yeah.
I will attest to this. You are going to mess it up. So, you know, great. Anyone else have any questions for Jesse this morning?
I'm going to adopt that as my new mantra for why hire a ghost blogger. Do what you do well and let me do what you don't do well.
Okay, I want my share of royalties on that, please. It's no problem. Does anyone else have any other?
I
Go
actually
ahead.
say the same thing about franchises. It's like,
Yeah.
why reinvent the wheel? Why, I always kind of liken it to the make versus buy when you're in technology, right? Focus on the stuff that I've seen too many times where technology, IT people feel like they can do anything, and then they, capital F, don't do it right. And use the playbook, use someone who knows what they're doing, who's done it before you, and then you focus on the stuff that you do well. Maybe it's sales, maybe it's operations, but think about it more functionally than I've got to do this widget all on my own kind of thing.
Okay. Anyone else have a question for Jesse? Hey, Jesse, thank you so much. I think it was very informative, and I think a lot of us just need to take a minute and focus. And it's like, call the Jessies, call the Nicks, call the Jerrys, and once again, and Rhoda, if you steal my stuff, Rhoda, I want a royalty. I'm upfront about that. But yeah, too many times small businesses just get trapped into like, you try to be an 8-armed devil and you find out you don't have 2 good arms. So just leave it alone. Hey, thank all you guys. I want to say have a happy Thanksgiving. Don't be like me and not be able to get up off the floor. Have some level of control, right? Have some level of control. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Our speaker will be Jerry Luco. Thank you guys so much. Bye-bye.